Hey, so I was answering emails and one person was asking like, hey, like why does it seem that when I'm working on myself and addressing lots of different areas, I'm still not getting the wins or I'm not getting the expected results? Like, why is that? So here's my thoughts. And again, what I'm gonna answer is basically just one or few out of many reasons. So don't take it like, oh, this is the only way that it is. Anyway, um, let's say you're working on yourself and you're addressing various subjects like living with people who are narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths, and they really have a way to control your life and affect how you are in your daily being. And at the same time, you're trying to work on your feeling states, your health, your financial areas, careers, love, and all this stuff. As you're working and addressing a lot of these things, it takes time. And for example, one day you might focus on like, okay, like, well, I'm not making enough money. Why? And you work on those things. And then a few hours later, it's like you're like, oh, well, I have a headache. Why do I have a headache? And you start addressing the headache. And so throughout the day or throughout a week, you're starting to address a lot of different subjects regarding yourself or regarding your life. Where it is your physical health, financial areas, or other parts, you are spending your time or you're working with other people that are supposed to help you. For example, you might get a session with me and like I'm looking like, okay, you write me a whole list of issues, and here I have, for example, I'm just gonna, okay, here's my little list of things I'm gonna look into. So one person writes me a nice long email, and I'm looking like, okay, issues with relatives, and then maybe sexual abuse, and then like issues with self, and like having the brain fog and like all this chaotic tons of thoughts, like lots of thinking, but then the body's feeling like this, and I'm spending my time working on the person. And the person like, well, like Villa, you spent your time working on these things. Why am I not seeing changes here? And the thing about it is like we're spending our time working on different issues, and we're always or sort of constantly touching the surface. It's like once you want to get better in a specific area, you sort of have to leave everything else behind for a while and just focus on one thing. For example, I always had a really hard time talking to people. When I was a kid, I had a really hard time asking questions or like, like raising my hand and like even stating my opinion, like, hey, I think that this is the way things are. And for me to talk it out, to say like what I think, to share my opinion was really hard because I knew that no one cares, no one will listen. People will think I'm crazy. People will not want to like listen to me or like will not agree to what I have to say. And I had tons of reasons why I thought that like sharing and talking was not a good thing. So I was just sort of, and I'm gonna be quiet as can be. And if people want to talk to me, they're gonna have to pull it out like with really a lot of it, like intentions and all. So that was like me when I was a kid. And I started growing up, and like like the school and everything else happens, like life. I have to go through various stages, and then you might get issues in relationships. And for example, for me, talking with people, like something happens, and I see the wrongness. I see, like for example, the wrongdoing, or like like the situation is one way, the person sees it the whole different way. And for me to share, like, hey, I know this is how you see stuff, but here's how I see it, and just to share my perspective was still hard as fuck. And I would end up taking the blame or living the reality where everything was hard to actually like, hey, I know you're feeling this way, but just can I share my point of view of how things are right now? So for me, that thing was really hard. And I was a kid that like had a super hard time talking. So I decided like, okay, I have tons of issues. I have issues with my health. I have issues with my communication. I want to make more money. I want to fix my relationships with people and tons of other things. But for me, the biggest one seemed to be communicating. So I had to leave everything else behind. I had to leave, like, for example, my health and how I was doing. And I was doing pretty good, but still, like, I had like little issues and stuff, and I wanted to get better. I wanted to work out and stuff like that. I wanted to have better relationship with people, but to interact with people, you sometimes need to talk. And that's like usually a lot of times. So I thought like acting and working on communications would be the best. So like I spent a lot of time working on communications. And so for me, the biggest thing was actually going really deep into one issue. Like in life, like whether you're trying to get out of body, whether you're working out or work like you want to do some other things in life, or simply like like, okay, you are trying to some spiritual techniques and meditations to get better. And eventually you're doing it, but it's like okay, same old thing again. Like, where's something new, something bigger, something better? And people are always looking for something bigger that's going to help them more. And just like in life and like martial arts, you need to learn the basics. Like in dancing, you're learning walks and you learn like the box and their like moves. But from that on, you build up and you add a few additional moves. But in waltz, you always move same old basic way with adding a few bonuses. Same way in martial arts, you learn how to protect yourself for some simple moves, and from then on, you can add a few others. But you are always keeping your fundamentals, your biggest part, the basics, what you learn in the beginning. And it might be 2, 4, 5 simple things. And you just keep on repeating them. And you're like, yeah, I learned the basics, but where's the big stuff? Where's the big stuff that's going to change my life? You're working out and, like, yeah, you're doing push-ups, you're doing crunches, but where's the big stuff? What kind of exercise will help my whole body? And you're looking for ways to do everything all at once. And that's the thing about people. Like, we're always trying to hurry up, to reach the results faster, to find this one ass tool that's going to change it all. For example, getting out of body. The basics is keep a dream journal, eat better, work out. And you have a few basic things that if you do every single day, you're definitely going to see results. But people are like, no, yeah, I know that you need to keep a dream journal, but what's the technique? What's the big ass technique that will pull you out? And you're like, no, you need to keep the dream journal first and then do that. So like a lot of people will sort of like do the basic stuff for a while. Like for example, meditation, removing soul contracts, trying to quiet their mind and all the stuff. And after a while, it's like, yeah, it's cool, but where's the good stuff? Like where's the whipped cream that I can get? Like where's the dessert? Where's the thing's gonna give me more results? And all of a sudden, we leave the fundamentals, the most basic and most important part behind, and start looking for something bigger, like better, bigger, the thing that's gonna give us more results. And after that, we fall apart. I said, like, yeah, we tried that, we stopped, we changed our activities, tried something new, and they're like, we're not seeing results here, so we're gonna leave it behind and we'll look for something new. And we constantly, a lot of times, try to keep finding something new, something better, something bigger, something more profound, forgetting the most important thing that is always the basics that keeps everything hand to hand, that keeps everything working. So we abandon the basics looking for something better and forgetting the most important part. Like this is that thing alone. If you just keep doing it for long enough, you're definitely going to see the results. But most people don't have the patience. So for me, I'm just going to come back to the topic. Focusing on communications was the biggest part. Focusing like, okay, why is it hard to talk? What is it about communications that makes it difficult? So afraid of what to say, afraid of sharing my own like thoughts, afraid of, like people saying that like they're not necessarily agree to what I have to say and after other things. And so like a lot of parts, just communication was a big area, but tons of problems they had with it. Like specific people, like my brother, my mom, my dad, people around, like my grandparents, people I knew at work or something like that. All of these people I would have to do work with each of them and work through my issues to get better. And so building it up is not just like, oh, communications, I have a hard time talking, I'm going to do one session and I will see my life change tremendously. It wasn't like that. It was literally focusing hours and hours and hours on communication, and every single day just digging deeper and deeper to find out more. And that's just me. But the thing is, and probably like the most important part, is we have lived for the zillions of years, for freaking long. It's not billions and millions and trillions. It's not quintillions and quadrillions and all this stuff. It's much more than that. We have lived for so long. And not just you, not just this essence. You have other bodies, you have other aspects of self that add up to your whole existence. So whatever you here experience right now and in your past lives, you have to add up your other aspects, but because it's still part of you, experiencing something new, something else, another kind of body, another kind of place. You add it all up and you have tons of lifetimes. And so you're looking like, okay, I have a heartache. I have issues with money. I have issues with people. And we're addressing stuff just on the surface level. But when you start digging deeper into your past lives, and you're like, oh yeah, like in my past life, I had this issue. We literally have to dig to the very, very beginning, to the very first time it happened in our whole existence. And sometimes we have to dig so freaking deep that we're like, damn, the content I'm coming up with, it's not just like imagining and stuff like, oh, like just like it's sort of like fake stuff that I'm thinking up or dreaming off of. No, it's like you're going so freaking deep that you're getting the recalls of everything that was. It kind of like feels like science fiction. And you don't know if to believe yourself or not. You're just like, this is too much to handle. I'm not sure what to do with this info. Like, fuck, And so you get to this parts like that. So with us, we live for so long and we have a baggage. Each lifetime is like a layer and you build up layers, like onion layers, right? So here's one lifetime, other, second, third, just keep building up. But now imagine like the zillions of these layers on nano size, and it feels like you just build up a little bit, and you're like, okay, I just did the session on myself, and I don't see changes. You have to do more work. You have to go deeper. You have to look into your other lifetimes because, like, okay, you just sort of try to fix a few things here in the physical realm, physical life, like that you have here, but there's much more to that. There's much more. So you literally have to go into your past lives and other things and your other aspects and things you sort of like disconnect yourself from and see change is massive. But it takes a whole lot. It takes a lot of time. And, like that's just one area. But for people, like one day you're addressing your financial issues, next day you're addressing your relationships, next day relationship, you're addressing your health and stuff. And every single day it seems like it's something new, something new, something new. And the areas are not really connecting right now, at least on this small scale, like you're working on your financial station, you're working on your relationships and other things. And with that, it's like all over the place. So you constantly keep touching the surface, but never going deep enough to release all this stuff. So for people like, hey, I'm doing a lot of work on myself, but I'm not seeing changes. I'm not winning. I'm not getting better. Why? It's like, don't expect that one session or let's say things you do for yourself like once will change your whole life. Your spiritual journey on getting better and self-development and breaking free from the control, breaking free from like old programming, sort of deprogramming yourself and like trying to cut off all the limits and stuff like that, is a journey, it's a progress, it's an everyday thing. So it's like climbing a mountain. You climb up and you do so much, like, yeah, reach the top, and you're like, oh, there's another one. And you work your ass off to climb another mountain, and you look at the top, and there's another one, and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you constantly are on a journey to get better. And life is like tons of ups and downs. One day, you work on yourself and you might see big changes. You're like, hey, I'm winning in life. I'm getting better. And you notice like you're doing really great in life. But next thing you know, you're going to crash. And all of a sudden, one day you were doing great and you were crying and you were joyful and you were like, really, yay, this is the best day of my life. I feel awesome. And next day, it's a massive crash where you're depressed, where you might cry, where you're losing things because you're a godlike being. You have existed for so long that with your consciousness, you can create and manifest absolutely everything. You are powerful to create a planet, a galaxy, a universe, a multiverse, to create people, to create civilizations, to create a new consciousness, and so much more. You can do it all. And some beings out there in the multiverse cannot do it. They can't use their visualization. They can't use things to manifest. They can't just think about it and boom, it's there. They're not like you. Some of these beings can do it. And their way is to actually literally spend years and years and years harvesting materials, building up a ship and to, creating spaceships and stuff like that. And for them, it takes a whole lot of time. For you, you can literally either get out of body or be free in the multiverse. And you see this massive fleet of thousands and thousands of spaceships. And all it takes for you is one thought, and everything is destroyed. Everything disappears, or literally you turn those fleets into flowers, into puppies, into watermelons, anything you want, anything to make yourself feel better, anything to make yourself laugh. Just with one thought, and everything changes. You are powerful. which is why you are dangerous for groups that are interested in control and domination and taking over planets. And they see you as a godlike being. They see you as someone who is so freaking capable of everything that for them to be in control, for them to dominate, it's impossible. Which is why they have to work really hard to trap you here, to wipe your memories so that you would not remember everything, so that you would not recall who you really are, how powerful you are, things that you can do, things that you were doing in your past lives, all of your abilities, your gifts, and who you are. You all of a sudden forget that. And then they use tons of these things here on planet Earth to keep us connected to our physical body so that we could not leave. So that the languages would be programming us 24/7. The languages would make us think about things and focus on such a material world that we forget spirituality. Then there's chaos all around us all the time. And from super powerful beings who can do absolutely everything, we get trapped. We forget who we are. We get in these bodies with little memories, and we're like, what you want for dinner, honey? And that's life. Sleep, eat, have sex, play, work, sleep, repeat, and it just keeps on going. And most people settle with that. Most people settle with, oh, I'm just a human being. I am my labels, I am my color, I am my race, I am whatever the fuck they say I am. And most people are okay with that. But you're looking for the truth. You're looking like, why am I fucked up? Why am I here? Why am I suffering? Why is it this way, not that way? And you're looking for the truth. And you're awake. And you know that something's wrong, something's missing, something's like not the way it's supposed to be. Like, why the fuck is this going on? And it's exactly why. You're a godlike being. And they're afraid of you. So one day you're doing really great because you worked your ass off to get better, and next day you crash. You crash because you become a target. Because they see that the godlike being like you is waking up and doing something to get better. And that is a problem. Which is why so many of us are trying to get better every single day. But we just constantly crash. And one day you're working on your financial problems to like, hey, if I just get rid of these problems and I get stable, if I can make plenty of money to have a roof over my head, to be away from toxic people, to be away from those that are suppressing me, to just live a life by myself, that'll be enough. And you're working your ass off to get better, to fix your financial problems, and hey, you're winning. You're feeling great. And next day, you crash. And all of a sudden, your body feels weird, or you get into fights with people, or you're not doing good. And there's going to be tons of things in the background that will trigger you and make you feel weird and bad and guilty and wrong. And you're just going to be depressed and like suicidal, and all these things will come up. This is because once you target one space, you get really good, but then you become a threat. And they have to target you. They have to push your buttons. They have to trigger you to bring you back down. And then they sort of have the leash on you again and they can control you. So it's a vast subject. We had tons of past lives before. We are targeted godlike beings. And for us to, just like do a little thing once or twice and see massive changes, it's kind of impossible. Not because you're doing something wrong. You're finding all the right things and you're trying like tons of variations. But the thing is, you might try one thing today and it works. And tomorrow it seems like completely block your things or you might hate it. And so a lot of times there will be days where, for example, techniques that will help you out. You know that if you do some sort of spiritual work or you work on yourself, you're going to feel great. But you feel this massive resistance, like, I don't want to do it. I have no interest. I really don't want to address certain subjects. And you're like blocking it all off. But a lot of times that kind of resistance, that kind of like not wanting to do things, kind of like, I'm not interested. Don't want to do it. Like, not like that. Just forget about it. These things come because there are third parties that are trying to sort of plug in the father feeling state. They know that if you work on yourself, if you end up addressing certain subjects that you really don't want to do it right now, your life will change for the better on a massive scale. And they have to do everything they can to discourage you. And so we look at our feeling states. And a lot of times in life, we're not feeling like it. A lot of times in life, we're like waiting for a perfect moment, waiting for that inspiration to come, for that moment to come up. Like, I'm in love with that person, but I'm gonna write him or her when I feel like it, when that perfect moment comes up. And you're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and months pass, years pass, and you're like still waiting. So a lot of times, like our feeling states, we're like waiting to feel like it, waiting to feel inspired, to be passionate, to for the right moment to come and stuff, and it's not coming. That's also another hard part, that a lot of these things are not coming. No one's coming to help you. No one's coming to save you. The right time isn't coming. The inspiration, good luck waiting for it. So it's like in this world where everything seems to go sort of against us, we have to be in control of ourselves. And we have to know that a lot of things that we don't want to do will help us. Most people don't want to eat healthy because the food is not as yummy, because sometimes it takes like, hey, I need to cook. I can go to restaurants, I can go to McDonald's and just order like, there's a buck, there's my cheeseburger, and I'm done. And, things that we don't want to do sometimes are the best, because it's going to push us out of our comfort zone. We're going to be forced to take action. And then, like, hey, it's not so bad afterwards. The hardest part is to start doing it. And after that, like, you already started. It's not as hard so far. So, like, we don't feel like working out. We don't feel like going out. We don't feel like I'm going to play guitar or something else. And we're like, yeah, I don't want that. Like, not interested in stuff like that. But once you start, it gets better. So, like, with all the other stuff that's going on in our life, with past lives and all those layers that like came up like from like build up from all these lives and being targeted, and there's also like our feeling states every single day, and we have to fight it all to get to where we want to be. So it's a long video, but just to tell you like, hey, you're working on yourself, and how come you're not feeling wins right after that? There's a whole lot of work in there. And I guess like my biggest tip or advice is to give yourself time. So I know a lot of us wants results right now, today, to be able to go through all of these emotions and to win, because we're suffering every day. Most people are not enjoying their life. Most people are like, I want to die. I don't want to be here anymore. And it's okay to feel that way, because this place sucks because of our circumstances and things that people go through. It builds up, and it's hard to handle. So if you can give yourself time and just like, don't be hard on yourself. The whole world would do it for you. Don't try to tear yourself apart, because others will do that for you. So just like in this world where everything seems to be against you, you have to be your own biggest fan. You have to love yourself. You have to give yourself time. Like, hey, all the guilt, feeling bad, wrong, and guilty, and all this stuff, everyone else will push that on you. But you yourself will have to be like fighting for yourself. Like, hey, well done, you're working out. Well done, you're eating well. Well done, you're doing this. And you always have to be your biggest cheerleader. You have to be your biggest supporter, your biggest lover. And it's not about like being vain and so in love with yourself that you forget everything, but more like everyone else will do the job for hating or thinking bad about you and all this stuff. Don't do that for yourself. Everyone else will do it for you. And so to get that love, to get the compliments, it's like there's a video of this guy in sports, and he's doing an interview, and literally he sneezes and says bless you and thank you to himself, because he knows that no one else in the surroundings will do that for him. And so he's just like, he is his biggest cheerleader, he's the biggest supporter, and he wins in life because it's a whole different attitude about life. And so once you learn how to support yourself, how to be like, okay, I'm not winning, but I'm not going to be down on myself. I'm not going to judge myself for doing certain things or not doing certain things. You were working out and then you fell off your schedule. You were doing things and you were keeping journals and then you fell off and you're like, fuck, I could have done this. And you want to hate yourself for things that might have gone wrong or things that you don't like about yourself. But it's just going to be like another buildup of like, you're not good enough. I'm not doing this and this and this and this. So I think like we have to work on ourselves as students and to appreciate who we are, because no one else will do that for us. I mean, like, you're going to be lucky if you find someone, but even then people might leave, people might die, and you end up being alone. So like with all that, it's like, it's important to cheer yourself up, to like, okay, no one is there to help me. Even if they are, good luck waiting and waiting and waiting. So it's like you have to find tools little bit by little bit. Like, don't go for the biggest results. You want to, and it's good, but like little step at a time sometimes is all it takes to see massive results. Like, People are trying to get out of body without trying to keep the dream journal. People are trying to, get six packs without even working every single day. They just work once a month and you're like, hey, where's my six pack? I'm disappointed it's not showing up. So it's like every single day, just do something for yourself. Just make your bed, drink your favorite drink, work out, maybe eat healthier, maybe do this and this and this. It's like whatever feels best, but like every single day you do just a little bit and it starts building up. It's like the success is not like something happens and your life gets better. The success is pretty much like builds up from little things. The more good things you do for yourself, the more successful you're going to be. It's like continuous process of like you made your bed, you brush your teeth, you dressed up, you worked out, you ate something, and you did other things, and every single day you do something, but each of those little things is a progress that allows you to build it up. When you fall off, like one day you forget to make your bed, next day you forget to give a phone call, next day you're too tired to work out, and these things build up to the point where like your bed is always untidy, you don't want to do anything throughout the day, you're lazy as can be, and you're like, life could be better. This place sucks, and just takes one little part to fall off this massive progress you were doing. So there's a lot to it. I could just keep on talking, I guess, and it's a big topic. But like, I think like I probably said everything I wanted to say, and most of you probably like, shut the fuck up, I already heard enough. But I guess like for me, it's just like being my biggest supporter, and I give myself time. There's plenty. For me and everyone else, I guess there's plenty of time to like, hey, today I'm going to work on this subject, and next day I'm going to work on different areas. Like, for example, my health, my career, my like financial issues, my relationships, and like every single day, just do a little bit. But you have to keep in mind that like once addressing specific areas, if you target just one, for example, just like communications, and just go like really deep into like what sort of things regarding communications, you can find hundreds of items. And then you're done regarding communication, you move into other areas in life, and that's going to be easier. So instead of touching the surface, sometimes just like drilling down on one part is the best thing. Anyway, I've been talking for a lot of time, but I appreciate all of you listening and being here with me. I just like wanted to share my thoughts on these subjects because there's a lot of people who are going through some hard stuff and they're trying to win in life. And I see them like trying really hard, and sometimes they win and they're super happy, but next time they fall and they feel bad, and it's a constant up and down, up and down, up and down, like promising like, hey, today I'm gonna be best, and then shit happens and you're like, fuck the promise and stuff like that. So like just be the best version of yourself and do things for yourself. Take care of yourself, and from then on everything else will get better. So that being said, again, I'll try to wrap it up, but like, thank you for watching, thank you for being here, and at the same time, feel free to share your thoughts on like why people have a hard time winning and not seeing changes and stuff like that. Like, share your thoughts on everything I've been talking about, or maybe you have something else to add in. There's a lot of parts to life, to getting better, to being the best versions of ourselves. And like I'm just mentioning the small little bit, and there's like so much more left. So anyway, I'm looking forward to reading your comments and your opinions. And yeah, see you next time. Bye bye.